The last session we have seen how to create the chart of accounts. We completed these tasks. Now the pending tasks are creating segment values in the respective value sets. At the same time, we have to assign value attributes to segment values. Let's see this. To create the values in the value sets, you can go to the task called as, let's go to our implementation project. Search for the task called as chart of accounts value sets. You can use the task called as, okay, just click on this task. You can use any one of the tasks. Manage chart of accounts value sets, or you can use manage chart of accounts value set values. The task name is slightly different, but the two tasks will take us to same page. You can use any task. Okay, in the last class, we completed deployment. Now we are going to create the values in the value sets. Okay, click on go to task icon. Okay, here find out our value set. Name we given as Amex company. Just click on search. Now click on manage values. Click on search. We didn't create any values within this value set. Right? Let's create few values. Click on add. So company value set level we given 4 digits as a code size. Now here you can enter company code as 1000. Here you can see summary is no. Okay, summary is no. If you set summary as yes, system will understand this company is the parent company what we are creating. We'll give the description. Okay, let's provide description and we'll discuss. So the company name is Amex Financial Services. Okay, Amex Financial Services is the company name. And here you can see summary as no. If you set summary as yes, with this company, you cannot record any transactions. You cannot create any transaction with this company. This company will act as a parent company just to produce the reports. You can use it. But don't change the value from no to yes, keep as a no only. Allow posting, allow budgeting. Allow posting. With this company, if you are going to create the transactions you have to process. Processing transaction is nothing but updating the balances. What are the accounts you are going to use against those accounts, you want to update the amounts. Okay. So when you create the company code with a certain description, set summary as a no so that you can create the transaction with this company and you will be able to process those transactions if allow posting is set as a yes. That means with the transaction, with that company, what are the transactions we are going to create, those you will be able to post. Post is nothing but processing balances. Allow budgeting. With this company, if you want to create any budget, setting certain limits for so-and-so company in so-and-so month, so-and-so expense, only 20,000 or 50,000 or 1 lakh. If you want to set certain limits for certain companies, we can use allow budgeting as yes. When we create the values, company segment values, we no need to select allow posting, allow budgeting as yes. Automatically system defaults yes only. Summary is no. Okay, don't set as yes. If you set as yes, this company you don't find when you create transactions. This summary, allow posting, allow budgeting. These 3 we call as value attributes. Okay. Value attributes. For every segment value, we have to set value attributes. By default, whatever system is taking, those you can accept. Now click on add. Let's create few more companies. 2000. Amex Consulting Services. You accept these value attributes as this. You don't need to change. 3000 Amex BPO services. Okay. Now just say save and close. If you try with more than 4 digits, it won't allow. Try to save it. Now it is giving the message the value 30000 is too long. Okay, in the Amex company value set, the length of value cannot exceed 4 characters. Right? So we can enter the value with the max 4 digits. Now say save and close. So this is how you can create the company values in the company value set. At any point of time, you can go to those values and you can click on search. Within this value set, what are the values we have, you can see. Any point of time, you can add additional companies here if you want to add. Okay, you can add additional companies in future also. I will create the values for department value set. Search. Here is our department value set. Click on manage values. Okay, here we didn't create any values. You can click on search, say create. The department code also we given maximum size as a 4, the maximum length or say maximum size you can call. We given 4, with 4 digits you can give the company, the department codes. Department code is 1000. I'm giving department name as a finance. See, we'll follow the same here. Whatever we discussed, we'll create for our testing. So later we'll see how to load all these through automatic process. First, we have to understand how to create through manual process. Say finance department. You can accept all these value attributes, summary, allow budgeting, allow posting. These 3 you can accept as these. You no need to give any start date, end date. Okay, by default is enabling. You don't need to touch anything. Just provide value and description. This is how you can create few departments. Say HR department. $3,000. So sales department. 4,000. Marketing. Okay, finance, HR, sales, marketing. This is how you can list out the departments. Reality, this all data we get from the client. Client will provide the data and we have to create in the system. Say save and close. We created values in the department value set. Now we'll create the values in account value set. Search. Okay. Click on manage values. Click on search. We didn't create any values. Click on create. Now you can create the values like. So when you create the account values, we follow some grouping. Okay, when you create accounts, ideally the accounts what we create, those all belongs to different types. Some certain expense are expense accounts. Okay, certain accounts are expense account. Certain accounts are revenue accounts. And few accounts are asset related accounts. Few are liability related accounts. Few are ownership or owner's equity accounts. These 5 we call as account types. These 5 we call as account types. 5 we call as account types. Just remember, expense, revenue, asset, liability, ownership or owner's equity you can call. These 5 we call as account types. So within the account value set, whatever the account we create, that we have to select which type of account is that. These you can call as natures also. These are the 5 type of natures for the accounts what we use. Now, so already we created values for company and department. Okay, company and department. When you create values, Here you can notice the value attributes are three: summary, allow posting, allow budgeting. Same way for a company also, only three value attributes. You can check. This is the company value set. Click on manage values. Click on search, summary, allow posting, allow budgeting. These three we call as value attributes. Cancel. Now we are going to create the values for account. You tell me what label we assign to account segment. Which label we assign to account segment? Anyone?
Natural account.
Why we assign? We didn't discuss. Now we are going to see why we assign. Amex account. Click on manage values to create the values. We didn't create any values. Now we are going to create the value. Click on create. I want to give the value like, here we given 5 digits, right? This is the account I want to give, account code. I want to give account as a cash account. Say Citibank cash account. Okay, Citibank cash account. Now, do you find any difference here compared to company and department values creation? Do you find any difference here?
There are like additional attributes like account type, third party control, reconcile, mandatory fields.
So for company department, we have seen summary, allow posting, allow budgeting. For any segment, we get these three. But for company segment related value set, this value set is already assigned to company account. Okay, this value set is already assigned to account segment. Only for account segment related value set, you can find additional value attributes like account type, okay, third party control account, reconcile, and financial category. These 4 additional value attributes we are finding. Okay, so the 4 value additional attributes we are finding here. How we are getting? Because for account segment, we assign natural account segment label to the same segment we assign this value set. Okay. Yeah, fine. Here, account segment, we assign natural account segment label to the same segment we assigned our account value set also. Because of this natural account segment label, for this account segment, what are the value set we assign? In that value set, what are the values you create? For those values, system is adding these 4 additional value attributes. That means what we have to understand? Because of this natural account segment label, we are able to see these 4 additional value attributes for account segment values or account segment related value set. This is what we have to understand. Now, when you create any value, I think we given 5, right? It is not accepting. We'll check once. This is a value set. Click on edit. Four, I think we give 5. Okay, update it. 5, save it. You cannot log this record. Already another user logged. Nothing like that. Save it. So save and close. So other user also view only. Fine. Now go to manage values. Click on create. We can give the account code as 11100. I'm giving account as a Citibank cash account. Summary is known. With this, we want to create the transactions. Allow posting, allow budgeting. System is selecting yes, you accept the same. Account type. You tell me out of these 5 type of accounts, okay, out of these 5 type of accounts, cash is which type of account?
Asset account.
Asset account. Even if we don't know that, no issues. Okay, when we are going through these classes, we'll come to know. You will have a complete information which account is falls under which type, which account nature is what. Okay, those all you'll come to know. When we are working for client also, if you want to create the chart of accounts and all, client will provide all the accounts with account types only. Okay. So that's how it works. But reality, you no need to create here. Since we are learning, you should be comfortable in creating all this. Reality, this chart of accounts and all should be created by finance consultant. But we should know how to create. So here select as account type as an asset. Okay. So you can say Citibank cash account type is asset, or else this account nature is asset. Okay. So to set the nature only, we assign natural account segment label to account segment. Now the rest of value attributes are not mandated. Okay, third party control account, those are separate concepts. Okay, those are separate concepts. Now you don't need to touch those. Reconcile financial category, those are not required. What system is taking, you can accept it. So this is how you can create the few values. Click on create. I want to create an account called as salaries account. Salaries is which type of account you think?
Salaries, maybe expense.
Expense for the organization, yes. Salaries nature is expense. Select expense as account type and click on create. What is the objective of any company? With the objects, with the what objects companies are running?
For making profit.
Making profit. Now, the profit related account also we have to create. Okay, making profits. So how do you make the profit? How you calculate the profit? How much revenue you are getting from your business minus how much expense you are spending. The variance is net income, or you can call it surplus. So this account we have to create in the system. Revenue minus expense is net income, or you can call it surplus. Okay, surplus account we have to create. Net income or surplus account we have to create. The same account in our application we have to create as a returned earnings account. Returned earnings account is nothing but surplus account, or you can say returned earnings is nothing but net income. How do you get returned earnings? Revenue minus expense. Remember this point. Okay. Revenue minus expense is net income. The total revenue, you did some business, you got 10 lakhs revenue. Okay. And you spent 7 lakhs. The remaining variance 3 lakhs is your profit, net income or surplus. The same in the system we create as a returned earnings account to maintain that profits or variance between the revenue and the expense. We create account called as returned earnings account. It is nothing but net income account or surplus account we call it. So let's create that account. When you do the further setups, that account will become mandatory because every company that is required. That is the reason that we have to set up in the system. So for that reason, let's create that account also here. Here, as of now, I'm giving the random codes for accounts. Later, we will discuss how reality we have to load that information into the system. Give account name as a returned earnings. The nature of returned earnings account is owner's equity. Okay, ownership. Okay, ownership or owner's equity you can call. Okay, this is how you can create n number of accounts. But now we don't need many. Later we will add many accounts. To understand how to create all this, these accounts are enough. Now say save and close. So save and close. Done. So we completed these setups. Now we are ready with what setups? We are ready with accounting calendar, right? We created accounting calendar. Simply you can call it as calendar. We created calendar and we are ready with currency. And just now we created chart of accounts. Now, if you look at this calendar, currency, chart of accounts, out of these three, how many we created?
Calendar and accounts.
Yeah, please. How many we created?
We created calendar and we created chart of accounts.
That's all. Currency we are not creating. Okay, currency we no need to create. Oracle is providing all the currencies. That means currencies we get as a seeded data. Calendar and chart of accounts we have to create. Now, if you look at these three components, these three you can call it the components. Okay, three components. If you look at these three components, you can notice three are starting with a letter called as C. Now, instead of saying we can create the transaction by using calendar, currency, chart of accounts, simply I can say we can create the transaction by using three C's. Okay, three C's. By using three C's, we can create the calendar, currency, and chart of accounts. Okay. By using calendar, currency, chart of accounts, we can create the transaction. Instead of saying that, simply you can say we can create the transactions by using the three C's. By grouping these three, you can create primary ledger in the system. Short name is PL. Okay. By using these three C's, you can create the primary ledger. Now you can say by using calendar, currency, chart of accounts, we can create the transactions. Instead of saying that, you can say by using three C's, you can create the transaction. Instead of saying three C's, by grouping these three, you can create the primary ledger. Now you can say, if you want to create the transactions in the system environment, we need primary ledger. With the help of primary ledger, we can create the transactions. So already we discussed P2P and O2C cycles. What is the difference between subledger and general ledger? What is the difference between subledgers and general ledger?
General ledger includes all the modules,
Yes.
but the subledger is specific to that particular module.
Yeah, subledger is the one where you just maintain the transactions related to specific application or specific department. But general ledger is the one where we collect the data from all the applications. All the application data we bring into general ledger application. Or else simply you can say, so other than GL, all applications you call as a subledger applications. Okay, all are subparts compared to general ledger. Those points we discussed. Now, if you create the primary ledger with three C's, this primary ledger you can use only in the application called as GL, general ledger application. Okay, create primary ledger with three C's, you can use this only in the general ledger application. But along with the general ledger, we use many subledger applications. If you want to create, okay, if you want to use this primary ledger in subledger applications also, along with these three C's, you have to add one more component in our primary ledger, that is accounting method. Okay, the accounting method, the other name is conversions. Okay, conversions. So here you can see accounting method. Conversions is the technical term. Now what Oracle is saying is, already you are calling these three as three C's. Three C's, one A is not good. So you can call it as four C's. The second letter you have to consider. Even if you refer Oracle documentation, they says this C only they call as a fourth C. For accounting method, there is another name called as conversions that they are not considered. Now you can say 3 C's plus one more C. Accounting method, second letter you have to take. Now this you can say 4 C's. If you create the primary ledger with the 3 C's, that you can use only in the GL to create the transactions. Reality, we don't create transaction in the GL. So if you create the primary ledger with the 4 C's, this you can use in subledger applications. Okay, in subledger application, take any application, take inventory, you take purchasing, you take order management, payables or receivables, take any application. In any application, if you want to create accounting entries for the transactions, we need accounting method in primary ledger. So we discussed what is the meaning of calendar, currency, chart of accounts. What is this accounting method? I'll take you through a accounting method, how it looks like, what we have inside, how to create our own. These are all like how to modify this. This all we will discuss. Now you take simple point. Now you take one simple point within the accounting method. Okay, within this accounting method, we can have accounting rules. Accounting rules. Say, for example, you received material from the supplier. When you receive the material, you create the receipt, GRN. When you create GRN, which account system should debit, which account system should credit? Or else you create a purchase invoice against GRN and the payables. When you create purchase invoice, which account system has to take as a debit account, which account system has to take as a credit account? Or else you process payment for that invoice. For the payment, which account is debit, which account is credit. So this is how you can find the rules in the accounting method. In the accounting method, you can have accounting rules. With the help of those accounting rules only, accounting entries can be created for subledger application related transactions. Okay. So just remember, if you are going to create the transactions in the subledger applications, we have to create the accounting entries. To create accounting entries in subledger applications, we require accounting method. Within the method, we can have accounting rules. When we are working on the specific subledger application, so we have to touch this accounting method. I'll take you through that. Okay, when we deal with the accounting, I'll take you through this accounting method. I'll just open and I'll show you, I'll explain how it works, how Oracle is providing and all. Okay, this accounting method also you no need to create. In certain applications, say for example, you are going to work on purchasing. For purchasing, you have to create. Oracle is not providing. For other applications, Oracle is providing. For other areas, again, you have to define. In some cases, Oracle is providing. In some scenarios, Oracle is not providing. Where Oracle is providing, that we can use. Where Oracle is not providing, or as per our business, if you want to modify, you have to change it, or else you have to create new one. We'll discuss all those points. For now, you take simple point. The accounting method is required in the primary ledger to create the transactions in the subledger applications, so that you will be able to create the accounting entries. Within the accounting method, you can have accounting rules. Is Oracle providing accounting method? Yes. However, Oracle is providing currencies as a seeded data. Accounting method also Oracle only provides. We can use the same. At all, we want to change something, how to change, how to create our own accounting rules and all, we will discuss in our classes. But now you take this simple point. Okay. So when you create primary ledger, you have to create the primary ledger with the 4 C's, so that primary ledger you can use in the subledger applications. Along with the subledger applications, you can use in the GL also. For GL, only these 3 are enough. Here we have 4. If you are going to use this primary ledger and GL, these 3 would be enough, but we have 4, no issues. So this is what we have to understand. That means if you create primary ledger with the 4 C's, that primary ledger you can use in any application. That could be GL or subledger applications. Any questions from anyone, please?
No.
Questions here? No. Any questions from others?
No, Lakshman, then
Please.
what makes us to differentiate here. I mean, either we can go with 3Cs or with 4Cs.
Four. See, we are not going to implement just GL, right? Our applications are SCMs,
Yes.
purchasing, inventory, order management.
Yes.
We are going to work on P2P and O2C cycle also.
Yes. Yes.
That means we are going to touch payables application, receivables application.
Yes.
So definitely we need 4Cs.
Yes. Yeah.
Accounting method. Yeah, please.
In that case, and then where do we use only 3Cs?
So if somebody is going to use only general ledger application, they can use primary ledger with 3Cs. But generally you don't see such kind of scenarios. So how that works, that we are discussing. That's all.
Okay.
Any client is going to use Oracle application, that could be previous version of EBS or Fusion. So 99.99% definitely they use subledger applications along with the general ledger application.
That's right. Yeah.
Everywhere in every implementation, we create primary ledger with the 4Cs. That's what we can notice. Done.
So I have one question, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
So this accounting method and accounting rules are all seeded within our.
Seeded. Yeah. We get accounting method as a seeded one. Oracle provided accounting method we can get. Within that, accounting rules you can find as a seeded.
Okay.
Even we can create our own if there is a need. For certain applications we have to create. I'll cover that in our classes. We will create account rules. How to create, on what base, everything we'll discuss and we'll create and we will use. We'll see that.
Okay.
Fine.
Yep. Generally, usually we once we receive the material, then inventory receiving gets credited and debited, and sub-inventory will get credited. All this comes in 4Cs.
Yes. That accounting takes place because of
accounting method.
That's all.
Okay.
Because of accounting method only, that accounting is happening.
Yes.
That's all.
So totally finally, whatever it is, everything goes into GL.
Yes. Once accounting is done in subledger application, everything will send to GL in the form of journal.
Yes, in the form of journal. That's okay.
Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, now we'll go and see how to create the primary ledger. Here we can see 4Cs. Out of 4Cs, how many we created? Only 2: calendar and chart of accounts. Currency Oracle is providing, accounting method also Oracle is providing. Now we'll see how to create the primary ledger. So search for the task called as primary ledgers, or you can just want to search with the full task name, how to include manage. Click on search. It's not mandatory you have to include every time manage when you are searching anything. Simply you can search with the term called as primary ledger. Same it is resulting. Okay. Now click on manage primary ledgers task. Click on go to task icon. Click on go to task icon. So here you can create the primary ledger. So in the fresh instance, you can see this page like this. No primary ledgers you can find. Oracle never provides any primary ledgers. As per the client business, we have to create the primary ledgers. How many primary ledgers we have to create? Those all we will discuss maybe after 1 or 2 sessions. How to design the solution for any company. When you do the implementation, we'll talk about those points. In that session, I'll cover how many we have to create, how many we should not create. If you create unnecessarily many, what is the challenge, etc. We'll discuss all those points. For now, let's focus on how to create the primary ledger. In the fresh instance, you don't find any primary ledger. So Oracle never provides any sample data, or Oracle never provides any seeded primary ledgers. Okay, we have to create. So click on create icon. So provide primary ledger name. what company we are taking for our practice reference, Amex. You can give the company name. And this primary ledger you are going to create for which country, include the country code also, say USA. And what we are creating, we created value sets. Okay, we created value sets. How we created a value set? Amex company. We didn't write Amex company value set. Amex department. We didn't write as Amex department value set. But when you create primary ledger, you have to say this is a primary ledger. The reason is this primary ledger will be displayed with other setups. So there we should be able to identify which is primary ledger and which is not primary ledger. So that is the reason to identify this as a primary ledger. If this primary ledger is going to be displayed in the primary ledger field, no issues. But as per our setups and process, the same name will be displayed in the different fields depending on the scenarios and setups. So there we should be able to identify Amex USA is our primary ledger or something else. That is the reason when you create the primary ledger, write it as a primary ledger. That's very much important. Say Amex USA primary ledger. So name field is mandatory. You can see star mark. Description is optional. Okay. Still, if you want to provide, you can provide. No issues. The same name or you can describe. You can write Amex USA primary ledger for US business operations, etc., etc. You can write, but not mandatory. Now, how we created our chart of accounts structure and instance. Already we discussed and we made a note, right? So this is our chart of account structure, and this is our chart of account structure instance name, right? Now we'll go on to select our chart of account structure or instance. What we can select here, only you can select instance. The chart of account structure you cannot find from this primary ledger creation. Only instance you can select. So the instance name what we created is Amex. See here, you can say Amex Flex, Amex Accounting Flex. You don't find Amex Accounting Flex field. That is our structure name. Select instance. You cannot find the structures here. Only you can find the instances. When you create the primary ledger, you can find the chart of account structure instance only. We created our accounting calendar as a Amex accounting calendar, right? So this is the name we give it, Amex accounting calendar. And we are creating primary ledger for US. So select US local currency. That is nothing but we call as functional currency. Okay, we discussed. So functional currency. The same functional currency where we are selecting functional currency at the time of primary ledger creation. Since we are selecting functional currency at the time of ledger creation, that means in primary ledger, you can call it as simply ledger or call it as primary ledger. Reality, that is a primary ledger. When we just say for usage, you can call it as a ledger also. So when at the time of ledger creation, we are selecting currency, which is a local currency, which we can call as functional currency. Since we are selecting that currency at the time of ledger, the functional currency you can call as ledger currency also. Both are same. Okay. The country local currency you can call as functional currency. The country local currency only we select in the ledger. That is the reason you can call as ledger currency. Both are same. Now we selected chart of account structure instance and calendar, and currency we selected which Oracle is providing. Accounting method also you can select which Oracle is providing. These are the 4 seeded accounting methods Oracle is providing. You select standard accrual. When we deal with this standard accrual, when we create transactions and all, there we'll talk about this very detailed level, why we are calling a standard accrual. Okay, what we have inside of it. So whenever you create your primary ledger, select this. If you are going to implement budget concept and all, so then you can select in budget, there is a concept called as encumbrance. For that also, if you want to create accounting entries, select standard accrual with encumbrance. Means when you implement budgeting, when you create the certain transactions, budget related transactions, if you want to generate accounting entries for those transactions also, budget related accounting entries, then you can include encumbrance within the accounting method name. These all are seeded. Let's use standard accrual. So this is how we have to create the primary ledger. Okay. We are going to face the question how to create the primary ledger. The answer is by selecting calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method, we can create the primary ledger. This should be the answer, simple answer. How to create the primary ledger? By selecting calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method, we have to create the primary ledger. Now, once you save this primary ledger, you cannot change the chart of accounts and you cannot change the accounting calendar and you cannot change the currency. If at all you want to change, you can change the accounting method. Okay, accounting method any point of time you can change, but these components you cannot change once you save it. And again, notice one point, these three are mandatory, star marks, this is optional. But if you are going to use subledger application, you have to understand it is as a mandatory. Okay, so just to create primary ledger, not mandatory, but if you are going to use this primary ledger to record the transactions in the subledger application, this is a mandatory. Okay.
Yeah,
So
one question.
you have to notice. Yeah, please.
Can we use the chart of accounts, one chart of account in more than one primary ledgers?
Yes.
Okay.
Reality, we do that only. Say we are implementing for one client for 10 countries. They are operating business in 10 countries. We are going to implement the fusion application for that client. The same chart of accounts, we create one chart of account we use for all the countries' primary ledgers. That chart of account we call as global chart of account. We use for multiple countries that we call as global chart of account. That is a very, very generic practice which we see when you do the implementations. That is possible. But in one primary ledger, you can have only one chart of accounts. Yeah? Only one calendar, only one currency, only one accounting method. Any other questions here, please? No questions.
So I have one question on the
Lakshman,
account.
Please.
The budget, can you just give me in one word what
Okay,
is that
simple, I'll tell you. See, in the very normal scenario, in standard process, we discussed about P2P cycle, right?
Yes.
So in P2P cycle, when you create the requisitions and purchase orders, there won't be any accounting entries. It will derive some code combination, but there won't be debit and credit accounting entries.
Yes.
If you implement budget, and if you use the concept called as encumbrance concept, for requisition and purchase orders also, we have to create accounting entries. To create accounting entries for requisitions and purchase orders, in case of budget implementation, that too in budget, there will be two options. One is controls, budgetary controls, other one is encumbrance. Within that, if you are going to use encumbrance concept to reserve the funds for future usage, when you create the requisition purchase order, we have to create accounting entries for requisitions and purchase orders. There we need encumbrance accounting. So in those scenarios, you can use this accounting method. Yep. If you select this, system will create accounting entries for requisition and purchase order. When you implement budget. Again in budget, if you are implementing encumbrance concept. Clear?
Okay.
Take as a note. We cannot see that directly right now.
Yeah, that's right. Usually in some projects they'll implement this budget and income.
Yes. So there that is required. Okay, done.
Can we change the accounting method on transaction level?
Yes. The same point I was addressing, right? So these three we cannot change. This you can change at any point of time.
Okay.
Yeah, at any point of time, you can change. Once you start using the system also, you can change the accounting method. When you change the accounting method, as per that new accounting method, accounting will take place. That's all. Fine.
Usually, Lakshman, like these accounting rules for the P2P starts from the receiving point, from the receipts.
Correct. Exactly. Yes.
Right. So from PO to from requisitions to PO,
no accounting. In case
no
of budgeting, that too, if you use
encumbrance
concept, accounting entries would be there.
Accounting entries. Okay.
But When you create requisition PO, it will fetch the accounts. Those accounts to pass to the next level of documents. Say against the PO, you are creating receipt. In PO level, there will be accounting code combination. That PO will pass to receipt. And against the PO, you are creating invoice. When you create invoice, to create the accounting entry for invoice, the PO will pass that account to invoice. That's how there will be certain accounts in the PO document and the requisition document to pass the next steps. Otherwise, no accounting takes place for requisition PO when we don't implement this budgeting with encumbrance option. We will see all this, what we are discussing, like it will pass, it will fetch accounts, how to set up those, all we will discuss and we'll do in the system and we'll see the same. Yeah.
Okay. But even without encumbrance also, we'll see the PO charge account in.
That's what I'm telling. That's what I'm telling. But you don't see PO charge account, you will see, PO accrual account, you will see, PO variance account also you will see. Right?
Yes, yes.
These accounts to pass to in the next step. When you create invoice, see, you'll see PO accrual account at PO level. Okay.
Yeah.
PO accrual account. That accrual account, what system will do with that PO? If you create invoice, this account, it will copy to invoice as a debit account.
Okay.
Yeah, it will input from PO only, that account will be inputted for invoice. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
For those purposes, the rest of another line will be created based on the tables application. We will see the same. Okay. If you
okay. Yeah.
Your question and thinking is correct, but I'm explaining the same. So you will see in the system.
Sure.
Yep. Fine.
So I have one question, Lakshman.
Please.
So these are the accounting methods for primary ledger, and when we create the sub ledger, these accounting methods are going to vary. Is that
we use ideally standard accrual. If you are going with budgeting, within the budgeting encumbrance concept, you choose this accounting method. You can create your own also by copying, by modifying. You can create your own. At any point of time, you can change this. No issues.
Okay.
You are selecting final here. Any point of time you can change, but these three components you cannot change. Once you create primary ledger, system will freeze those. You won't allow to update. Accounting method, anytime you can change.
So my question is like when creating the sub ledger. So this page is to create just the primary ledger, right? For creating the sub ledger.
Sorry. Can you repeat your question?
So do we create any sub ledgers or?
I think you didn't attend for the few sessions, right? We discussed about P2P and O2C cycles. Have you attended session?
Yes, I attended the P2P and O2.
Those are the sub-ledger applications. We never create sub-ledger applications. These all are sub-ledger applications. Okay. Sub-ledger application. Other than GL, all we call as sub-ledger applications. In those applications, if you want to use primary ledger, the fourth component is required. Accounting method is required. Yeah. Now say save and close. Say save and close. Our primary ledger would be ready. Created. Now go to same primary ledger, manage primary ledgers. Click on, go to task icon. Find out the same primary ledger. See Amex USA. Primary ledger. Use enter key from keyboard because there is no search tab in this page. Enter from keyboard, it will fetch the result. So this is the name we given, this is the description we given. So this is the chart of account name, accounting calendar. This is the currency. What is the status of our primary ledger? In process. Where is our accounting method? It is not displaying by default. If you want to see, you can go to view, go to columns. Which column you want to see? Accounting method. Select. See, these all are already selected, so it is displaying. Now select accounting method. It will display accounting method column. We selected standard. This is how we created. Now status is in process. Okay, in process. Will just the status will turn into completed, or you can say confirmed. For that, we have to perform few more setups, and we have to do that activity through manual process. We'll see all those. Just notice we created primer ledger by selecting calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method. And our primer ledger status is in process. Done. Now, what we have to do is we have to set this account, returned earnings account. For every primary ledger, as a mandatory, you have to set the returned earnings account. You have to set the returned earnings account. Now, go to task called as specify ledger options. Okay, through ledger options, you can set the returned earnings account for our ledger, for primary ledger. Okay, we are going to provide returned earnings account for our primary ledger. So click on go to task icon. Here you can notice selected scope is applicable for this. 1 second. Here you can drag this little right. Here selected scope. Select. First you click on go to task icon against specify ledger options. Task name is specify ledger options. Please make a note of all these. What we are doing in the system, please make a running note. That will help you definitely for your practice. You'll get recorded class videos, but you may not get time all the time to play whenever you want to practice or check something. Sometimes you may play, but playing the video all the time and going through each and everything, it's a big task. Please make a note of each and every point that you can use for your reference, practice reference. When you practice, you can refer that and you can practice. That will help you a lot. Task name is specify ledger options. Okay. Click on go to task icon. Now system is asking, you want to specify the ledger options for which ledger? So say select and add. Click on apply and go to task so that it will display all the primary ledgers. We can choose our primary ledger and we can set returned earnings account to that ledger. Just click on apply and go to task. Okay. Here find our primary ledger. Amex USA primary ledger. Enter.
Here, no concept of percentile, right? In searching.
No percentages. No percentage. Okay, this is our primary ledger. Now select this primary ledger. Since only one is there, automatically system will select. Okay, if the same name multiple are coming, you can choose your primary ledger. You can select, then click on save and close. It will take us to our primary ledger options page. So select our primary ledger, click on save and close. Select our primary ledger, click on save and close. Now we are in ledger options page. You can see specify ledger options for our Amex USA primary ledger. So at the time of primary ledger creation, this is the name we given and this is the description we given. If you want to change, you can change the name anytime. The primary ledger name you can change. Okay, so you can change the display name, how it should be displayed, that you can change anytime. And you see here, can we change the currency? No, the field is freezed. You cannot change the currency. Can we change the chart of account structure instance name? No, it is freezed. Can we change our accounting calendar? No, but we can change accounting method anytime. Field is flexible. Okay, we can change at any time. Now here, before you go and provide returned earnings account, select journal language. Select journal language as American English.
LAXMAN, one question.
Yeah.
Why system doesn't allow to change on the accounting calendar, currency and all?
If Oracle will allow with the same calendar and chart of accounts and currency, whatever the transactions are created, everything will get disturbed. Okay. The data inconsistency will be created. That is the reason Oracle is not allowing to change. It's a one-time decision.
Oh. But if suppose we have not created any transaction yet.
Still, the moment you create, it will freeze. For the purpose of future transactions, what we are going to create, it's not like, see, Oracle can give like this also, as you mentioned, before creating transaction allowing, after creating transaction not allowing. Yes, that is possible. Because of this, there is a process when you load this data automatically, it will create certain combinations automatically. Those will get disturbed before transactions also.
Okay.
So the moment you create primary ledger, certain things system will create automatically by using this calendar and chart of accounts and all. So those definitions doesn't make sense if they are allowing to change after creating. So that is the reason they are not allowing. Now here we have to provide returned earnings account code combination. Click on search. Okay. Just click on search here. So these are the three segments we have in our chart of accounts. Reality, account is enough here. Okay, account, if you select, that is enough. But since we have two more segments as per our chart of accounts, you have to provide any one of the value. Any company, any department you can provide here. Let's select any company, any department. Here system will look for only account. System won't bother about which company and which department. Based on the transactions which you recorded, accordingly it will calculate returned earnings. Okay, not what you are selecting here. Okay, so here provide any company, any department. Account is returned earnings account. Okay, this system is not going to count. System will count this account only. Say okay. So say okay. Now system will create new code combination 1000.1000.33310. This is how it will create the code combination. So how system is allowing us to create this code combination? Because chart of account structure instance level, okay, chart of account structure instance level, we have one checkbox. Because of that, system is allowing us to create this code combination. You can see that. You can go to our chart of account structure, instances are structured. Go to chart of accounts structures.
Can't we search it directly in the task bar instead of coming to search?
Sorry?
Can we directly search in the task bar instead of clicking on the search?
Task bar. Which task bar you are referring?
On the open in the front page, when when we log in and the front page comes.
We will see that. Let me complete. We will check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Click on search. Go to manage structure instances. Okay. Here. Okay. Find out our instance name. That is Amex Accounting Flex. Search. Okay. Go to our chart of account structure instance. Here you can see one checkbox. We no need to enable. Whenever you create instance, automatically system enables this checkbox. Dynamic combination creation allowed. This checkbox is enabled. If it is not enabled, okay, system won't allow us to create that new code combination. Say if this checkbox is disabled, if you provide this code combination here, the company department account, once you provide these values, just one second. The pop-up, it's not opening. Okay. This combination you cannot create. Okay, it won't allow you to create this combination if this checkbox is disabled. So this is already checkbox is enabled. That is the reason you are able to create this account code combination. Just remember, what is the purpose of dynamic combination creation allowed checkbox at instance level? To create new code combinations, we should enable this. If you don't enable this, no new combination can be created. This is what we have to understand. Just say save and close. Just 1 second. Okay. Seems to they are doing some activity. It's not at all responding. Let's make a note. Just we created primary ledger. Here, after creating primary ledger, we have to specify ledger options. So we have seen how to create the segment values, and we created primary ledger and we specified ledger options. Now, with this primary ledger, you can create the transactions in GL. Okay. The next session we'll see, just for our understanding purpose, by using the primary ledger, how to create the transaction to understand. We'll create single transaction. Okay, single transaction GL. There we discuss about why we are using the primary balance and segment label. We'll discuss all those points. After that, we'll talk about how to design the solution for any company. We'll discuss all the relevant points. Then we can start working on the applications one by one. So since it's down, we can wind up for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time.